Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to Live It Up, the show where we explore and discuss how to take your life to that next level and beyond. We cover health, wealth, relationships, and how to create a life that feels good. Because after all, that's what we want. We want to feel good. I'm your host and coach, Fletcher Ellingson, and my guest today is a man I have a lot of respect and an admiration for. John Senseney is a longtime resident of the Valley here, and I've asked him to come on because as I've gotten to know him over the past couple of years, I've seen him grow and take on some lifelong aspirations like mountain climbing. Sometimes we put off dreams and aspirations for so long that we eventually begin to wonder, has that ship sailed? Did I miss that window of opportunity? But that does not seem to be the case for John, and I thought it'd be an inspiring conversation to have. As you know, when I meet people who inspire me, I like to introduce them to you as well. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that if you have questions you would like me to answer on or off the air, you can email those directly to me at Fletcher at FletcherEllingson.com. And if we use your question on the show, I'll send you a copy of my best-selling Amazon book called The Practice of Feeling Good. If you've been following the show and you want to learn more about personal development, how to take on your life more powerfully, then grab a copy of my book. You can also visit me at my website, FletcherEllingson.com. Now, before we get to the interview today, I want to take just a moment to acknowledge that there is, right now, today, a lot of uncertainty in our world. There are wars, there are protests, there are accusations, trials, inflation, division, lots of uncertainty. And that level of uncertainty can set people on edge. It can bring out behaviors that typically don't serve those around us very well. And so I want to take a moment to remind all of us that we can actually be part of the solution. And the fastest, the easiest way to do that is to be kind. And the way I define kindness is friendliness, generosity, consideration, and the willingness to offer assistance without the need for praise or acknowledgement. Kindness highlights people's strengths instead of reminding them of their weaknesses. And kindness unites people instead of dividing people. It heals and fosters well-being instead of injuring. It feels good to give it, to receive it, and certainly to be around it. Kindness is powerful. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we'll be right back to visit with Mr. John Senseney. Stay with us. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that you're in this conversation. As you know, I think this is a pretty important conversation. We're talking about living it up in life, talking about going for your dreams. And today, we really are talking about going for your dreams and aspirations with Mr. John Senseney. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Hey, thanks for being on the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
We're going to talk about some of the cool things you've been doing in your life, in your retirement. But first of all, we always start out with a win. So what's a win that you can share with us today?
Well, my family has recently expanded. My son Frank and his partner Tanya just had a baby boy, and she brought with a 9-year-old son of hers. His name's Xander. So I have another grandson. So I have 2 grandsons.
All right.
And I've been spending time with Xander, and that's been a great experience for me. He's a lot like me. He's a physical guy, and
likes the outdoors.
He likes the outdoors. We hike, and the hikes are the experience is different than me hiking alone with my dog Finn. He enjoys everything around him.
Yeah, he's in the moment, right?
He gives me presents. Yeah, he does. And I've gotten him to do some climbing in the gym, in a climbing gym, and he's learning to skate. And
And you get
played basketball with him,
and you get to be witness to all that, right?
I do.
Yeah, it's fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah, I know you've shared with me like that's been a real bright spot in your life.
It has been.
Yeah.
It's given me. Like I say, it's a gift. I didn't expect this a few years ago, and I have a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
To be with. So
you're Grandpa John now, right?
I'm Grandpa John, and I'm taking this opportunity to make the most of it.
Isn't it interesting? You just never know what's going to show up in life. I mean, we think we have a good idea of how life is going to unfold, and then suddenly you got a grandchild, and then I got another grandchild, right? So
yeah.
You didn't know that was in the cards.
I didn't know that was in the cards, and it's been a great opportunity for me to grow.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a great opportunity to grow, and I love that attitude.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about today. Is we're talking about growing, right? Mm-hmm. You retired. How many years ago did you retire?
Well, I retired in 22 after 40 years of farming.
Yeah.
So, it opened the door for me. Farming is all encompassing.
Yes.
It's you raise the crop from March till October, and that's how you keep a roof over your head and eat. Mm-hmm. And so the time that I had to do some of the things I always wanted to do was limited.
Yes, and that's kind of what we're talking about today, is that you and I have talked about time in the past. We talked about the hourglass, the sand hourglass, and we both agreed that for much of our life, it seemed like there was a lot more sand on the top of the hourglass until one day you suddenly realize, wait a second, there's more sand on the bottom part of the hourglass now, and there's less up there. And we kind of talked about how do we want to make use of those grains of sand that are left. And you said you had some things you wanted to accomplish, and so you've been doing that.
And I've been doing that, and there's been some challenges to that, but I have this opportunity now with all my time, and so I'm doing it.
Yeah. So at 69 years old, some people might think, gosh, that ship has sailed, or that window of opportunity is just practically closed. But at 69 years old, you decided, I want to go climb some mountains. So which mountains did you climb recently?
I climbed Rainier and Baker this year.
Yeah. And did you have it in your sights to do both mountains this year, or did you do one and then decide I want to do another?
Well, that's how it worked, because after I climbed Rainier, I thought, the experience made me want to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to keep my familiarity and my with climbing, up to speed with it. So that's why I turned right around and I did Baker. Mm-hmm. I thought that after that I thought, this is something I want to keep doing.
Yeah.
So it's through that experience that I grew to want to do more.
Yes.
So I realized that I have the ability, and I don't know where it's going to end.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. You said you realized that you have the ability, because before you actually went to do the climb, there was a certain level of uncertainty, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you felt fairly certain that you could do it, but there was some level of uncertainty, and you prepared for this climb, obviously, right?
I had quite a bit of preparation.
Yeah, kind of share a little bit about what that entailed.
Well, I did have a few injuries that I incurred over the years. My knee was worn a bit, and so I had that was operated on, and I've been working on maintaining that injury, and so what I did was I trained with. I found a trainer that his name is Ruben Pan, that was a climber, and he helped me go from one level up to another. So I was in fair condition.
Yeah.
And then he took me to a level that was way above where I was.
I like that you took the initiative to hire somebody to help you with that. I mean, I think that's shows some wisdom there. Like hiring a professional to help you to meet you that ambition that you had is really cool. And I think that's it's valuable that when we hire experts in our lives. Would you agree with that? I
would agree. I mean, I think bringing other people in to help, seeking help, is part of why I've been able to be successful and climb Rainier.
Yeah, right on.
Seeking with others, and I think talking to you has been part of that too, because it gives me some emphasis on challenging myself that has propelled me into doing more.
Yeah, because there's the physicality of it, and then there's the mental part of it, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And we have to address both of those for something like climbing a mountain. And I've never climbed a mountain, so I'm only assuming that there's quite a bit of mental preparation that goes into it as well.
I think that's a large portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, being focused on what you're doing. I mean, every step is a chance to slip or fall, and you need to footwork is one of the most important things in balance, and getting that crampon into the ice or onto the rock. And Ruben, he worked with me on balance. So I thought that I was fairly good on my balance, but I learned that how much I could improve, and it changed my ability.
Nice. And did you notice that improvement?
Oh, considerably.
Cool.
Yeah. I had good balance as a young person, but you start to lose that over your lifetime, and with Ruben's focus on that, it changed my ability on the mountain. And also my ability to, he worked my body as a whole so that it would operate as a whole. And I didn't cramp up when I was climbing. I know that some of my fellow climbers did. So I was able to keep going, and then didn't have that kind of problem. But there was 18 of us that started the climb, and 6 of us made it. So,
okay.
So it's not an easy climb.
Oh,
it is difficult.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that there were 18 that started out, and 6 only made it to the summit.
And 6 only made it to the summit.
And you mentioned you were, of the group, you were the oldest.
I was the oldest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're there. They're like, if this old man can do it, I can do it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right on. Way to show up powerfully.
But I think it's the training.
Yeah.
That did it, really.
Yeah.
I took a reconnaissance. I went over in 22 when I retired that summer, and I went up. I went over and talked to the guides, and then I walked up to Muir just to see what kind of condition I was in.
Yeah.
And my legs cramped up a little bit. It was a hot day, but when I climbed in 23. I didn't have that problem, and then in 24 when I finally summited, it was I didn't have it at all.
Nice. So you were well prepared.
I felt, as it turned out, I was.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, hey, we got to take a quick break. I got some more questions, and when we come back, I want to find out, how did it feel when you got to that top? So stick with us. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Live It Up. So glad you're here. We're talking with Mr. John Senseney. He's been having fun in his retirement, climbing mountains and pursuing ambitions and spending time with family. But I want to get back to this mountain climbing. So I got a few more questions. Number one is, how long did it take you from start to finish, or start to summit on Rainier?
Well, Rainier was a 5-day climb.
5 days. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it was a 5-day climb, and we had inclement weather, so we didn't get to go to the summit until the last hours. Really, it was the last day of the climb. We started at 1 o'clock in the morning and did our climb. It was 11 and a half hours from Camp Muir. Camp Muir is at 10,600 feet. And the summit's at 14,450, I think, something like that. And Camp Muir, it was 5 hours to that, 4.5 hours. The guides watch the climbers, and if you can't make it within 5 hours, then it's starting to, they might not let you go to the summit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened with our group, was some people were eliminated right there. But it's a 11 and a half hour round trip from Camp Muir to the summit.
Oh, okay.
So it's a long day, and then we came all the way back down to Paradise.
Yeah.
And went.
So when you got up to that summit, remember, just picture yourself at that moment when you got up to that summit. How did you feel?
Well, it was an emotional experience coming up over that crater rim into the summit into the crater was very emotional for me, because I had tried it 4 times, and for one reason or another, the weather or someone got sick, we didn't make it. But this time I did.
Yeah.
And I was thinking all the people that had helped me, and it's hard to describe it. I felt quite a bit of emotion.
Yeah. Was it like gratitude or accomplishment, or a mixture of all that?
It was a mixture of all that. I mean, there was, like I mentioned, the other people that I work with and my family, and so there was gratitude there, and then the sense of accomplishment too. But that was minor compared to the gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the experience with being with the other climbers that made it too. We were a group of friends, really. We made friends there, and there were climbers from all over the world on Rainier. So it was an interesting group.
And it's neat because, yes, many people have done that climb, but relative to the population, very few have had that type of experience. Like a literal mountaintop experience is what you had, right? A peak experience.
It's enough of a mountain that it is. It's a real challenge. I mean, the wind was blowing so hard that was a factor, was keeping us from going to the summit. And luckily, it died down enough that we could go that more early morning. But even then, it was still intense situation. The wind was blowing hard enough that it was.
Yeah.
It was cold, and that made it even more exciting, more.
Fulfilling, right?
Fulfilling, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a level of discomfort there, right?
Yeah, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone, and I did.
Yeah,
on Rainier.
Literally got out of your comfort zone.
And I think that's part. It is, yeah. And it's there were some places that we had to be. That we had to have protection. Mm-hmm. You roped in on Rainier, but there was places where we did have to have protection, and the route was questionable too. And that they did get a ladder, and a crevasse opened up, and we had to cross a ladder. They got that put in just the day before, so it was intense and a great experience for me.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to do more.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to get to as well. So now you've done this, and we just have a couple minutes left, but it left you with a desire for more. to do more,
did.
to
Yeah.
experience more.
Yeah, and when on the photo of me on Baker, over my shoulders, Mount Shuxton, excuse me, and which is not a volcano. It's a different type of mountain, and it's where I want to climb next, and it'll involve some rock climbing. So there's a challenge right there.
Yeah.
And there's a fear factor of climbing on rock, especially up on the mountain outdoors.
Yeah.
I've been climbing indoors, but outdoors will be a different experience. But I want to do it.
Yeah. Hey, what would you say to people who are listening to this, who might be thinking, "Gosh, I don't know, that sounds scary, but I mean, I used to want to do that, or I kind of still do want to do it, but I just don't know if I have what it takes." What would you want them to hear?
I think that it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we limit we underestimate our capabilities, and the training and the experience, it opens up a door for you. I think that embracing those fears or doubts is rewarding. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. Yeah, embracing those fears and doubts, and embracing this opportunity to live, right? And
yeah, well, like I say, it's fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling to do. Even if I didn't make it, the experience was good for me.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. Even if I didn't make it, and you even said there were several other attempts that were thwarted, right? There were, and those were not in vain. You learned valuable lessons, and they helped prepare you for ultimately this final climb, which you then did summit, and now you're on to bigger and better, or whatever's next.
Yeah, whatever's next, and I'm willing to go there. We'll see. At some point, I may get turned back because of my inability to do something. But I'm enjoying the experience and putting myself out there to taking the chance, the risk. Well,
thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah.
We've got to wrap up now. Wish we had more time, but we've got to wrap up. So John Senseney, going out there, making it happen. And now it's time for you to get out there, be a source of kindness, be a source of contribution. You do have something to offer this world, and I believe in you.